Hey, everybody, it's Eddie from Tokyo. This is your cryptocurrency update from Japan. And what you're looking at is the new SBI VC Trade logo. I tweeted it out not too long ago, and this is the fifth big change this month. So we had the name change, we had the creation of the separate business unit. Revealed also was the working capital and the structure of the new business. And there's been a very much higher than usual multiple maintenance announcements. Another one coming up tomorrow in Japan. And then the logo is now done. So from my seat, we are on track. I think we are very close. All right, this is going to be a little bit of a different video today. I did give it my best shot. I'm going to use some questions that I gave Hodor last week and give him a voice because, yeah, I've been encouraging him to break beyond just the written word and to make his voice heard. So this is my attempt to maybe give him that first step. I think he's going to do it eventually, but as of right now, I think he's still more comfortable behind the pen. I gave him these 5 questions, and it's so interesting how even today with the breaking news that I'm going to share with you, it is so relevant because the space is changing here so fast. And I want to point out one more thing. You'll see that I am signed up for Coil because I am paying my $5 a month. When I'm reading content or I am watching videos that have been monetized with Coil, I'm paying them through these micro payments. And I think anybody who is a Ripple supporter and XRP believer, it seems a little crazy to me if you're not signed up as a Coil with a Coil membership. So I feel great when I'm on somebody's hard work and I'm able to monetize them with these micro payments. So I won't preach anymore, but I really want everybody who's not signed up to give it some thought. All right, so let's take a look at today's breaking news. The first one is, I just can't find the right location for me today. The first one is some videos that came out with Meltem Demirors. And Meltem, I'm sorry if I didn't say your name right. I'm very poor with French. I'm okay with Spanish, Norwegian, and Japanese, and my English is getting really bad since I've lived out of the country. But anyway, that's a whole nother subject. I do think these videos are worth sharing. She focuses pretty much her narrative on Bitcoin, and I don't I'm not surprised, especially in her 5-minute video where she is comparing the difference between Bitcoin and Libra. I think she's very articulate and she's non-combative. She's not argumentative, which is so important in this space. I'm seeing too many women in the U.S. Congress who are trying to fight their causes with this combative and argumentative narrative, and it doesn't work. And so I'm really happy to see that she has this, what I would call a believability factor by her knowledge, and she doesn't need to be combative or argumentative. So Mr. Davidson asked her a lot of good questions, and the only problem I have with the video that shows his questions is that he pretty much categorizes Bitcoin and all the rest. And all the rest fall into, yeah, he used the S word, fall into that S word pile of coins. And I'm really feeling that was unfortunate because the people who are watching and learning about this space will think that Bitcoin is the only decentralized asset. And of course, we know that's not the case. There are a lot of really valuable assets in the whole ecosystem that are decentralized. So I think even though that falls short in that area, it is still worthy of being shared. Meltem is very interesting. You know, she manages a fund. She's invested in 150 countries or 150 companies in 30 countries. And she is, yeah, I do very much admire her, and I'm happy that the whole crypto space has someone like her. So when we look at that decentralization, I'm going to go back to the original questions that I asked Hodor. And the first question I asked him was, what do you see as the most misunderstood value of XRP? And the answer was great. It falls right into line with this video that I just showed you. So some traders in crypto that are new to XRP are surprised to learn, and it's more decentralized than proof of work cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum. Ripple, the central championing organization for XRP, only runs 2% of all the validators on the network. The only fact that critics now point to is that Ripple publishes a recommended UNL list, but really anybody could publish such a list. The individuals and organizations running on XRP validators are the ones who decide which other validators they trust. Of the recommended UNL list, Ripple's own validators account for only a minority share of 23%. So no matter how you slice it, Ripple is a minority operator on the XRP ledger. And just as a sample, if enough validators on the XRP ledger decided to alter the fees downward to 1 drop instead of 10, or make each XRP divisible by 1 billion instead of 1 million, they could do it. So this is that democratized way that the XRP ledger runs. Brad Garlinghouse said today in an interview by CNBC that XRP is built on top of the ledger that is decentralized, open, and much more of a democracy in terms of how it works. Okay, so let me take you to the next little bit of information that's out there in regards to news. I don't even want to call this news. This is crap. And I'll tell you why it is because it uses language to make you feel like Ripple Labs has been dumping XRP and the token is still down 82%. Okay, well, the word dumping is just really unfair because Ripple Labs has been selling through programmatic sales. They sold 169 million in Q1 2019, and it just was 0.32% of the entire XRP volume. And these programmatic sales too, by the way, as I mentioned yesterday, are going to be decreased by half. So I just don't know how you can call 0.32% dumping. And when we address the 82% down, in July 2018, 800 coins had died. Sayonara, adios, bye-bye. And from mid-2018 to now, the majority are well over 90% down. So this isn't just XRP's poor performance. Now, I'm not saying that it's been a great year. The bear market was brutal. It was horrific. It was painful. I don't want to ever go through that again. It was one of the most testing times I've ever had in crypto. But the fact to point that the token is still down 82%, well, you need to step back and look at the entire space. So that goes back to my question that I gave Hodor. And my second question was, do you think mainstream media covers the news about XRP and Ripple fairly? And this is the answer that Hodor gave. No, mainstream media still suffers, even in 2019, from a tendency to conflate cryptocurrency with Bitcoin. Originally, I gave them a pass on this because the concept of decentralized, no counterparty digital assets was a new one, and there was always a need for some frame of reference, and Bitcoin served this purpose as the original experiment in no counterparty trustless internet money, but its limitations and troubles are now being used to paint the entire industry. Wow, I just couldn't agree more. He continues, we've seen this on occasion where testimony of so-called experts is provided to legislators and the public, and Bitcoin's problems with scalability and power usage are debated as if all the digital assets suffered from these same problems. So perhaps the desire for easy answers places a limit on how much detail can be discussed in public, but this conflation of cryptocurrency with Bitcoin is hurting the entire market. Hodor, you are so right. Each digital asset deserves to be judged on its own merit. Yeah, again, I just go back to you can't throw all those other coins into that S pile. And chief among them is XRP. When the mainstream news media does talk about XRP and Ripple, I've found that they will often get the details wrong. Yeah. Unless they are talking directly with someone from Ripple or a Spring partner. So as long as we keep as long as we can place experts with reporters from mainstream news sources, it affords an important opportunity to clear the air about XRP and explain in terms of ordinary people can understand. Great answer, Hodor. Okay, let me keep going to the news. So if you missed it, wow, I'm really battling with myself today. CNBC gave Brad Garlinghouse a very good interview. It was about 5 minutes. And I have noticed the air has changed with his interviews. This is a really good interview, maybe arguably the best interview I've seen him, because he covers lots of different aspects of Ripple and XRP and the space. And the air has changed not only from the CNBC side, but also from Brad's point of view too. There just seems to be this overall confidence, and also CNBC has this overall respect. You watch it and be a judge for yourself. But he brings out the fact again that in the 2-minute and 26-second mark, the Bitcoin project is still controlled by Chinese miners. So I'm going to take you back to the third question that I asked Hodor, and that was to mine or not to mine? What do you think? And Hodor replied that he's been a very vocal critic of mining as a technique for securing a decentralized network, while Bitcoin and other proof-of-work cryptocurrencies use this old technique as it solves two problems in one: network security and liquidity. The approach, though, limits the scalability and ends up destroying the environment with its inefficiency. So yes, obtaining liquidity and jump starting a network is more difficult when you use the methods of security such as Byzantine and the fault tolerance BFT agreement protocols, but the network will be able to scale and not destroy the environment. So independent experts agree with me, he says, so they are agreeing with Hodor. Those sources that he cites is Wired Magazine, the Bank of International Settlements, which is the BIS, and the Digiconomist, and he has included the published articles. Oh no, they're not. Yeah. These are active links. So you'll have active links to those published articles for his answers. So very good, Hodor. Okay, very good. So let's keep going. There is a lot of news about the G7. So the G7 has met, and they are demanding immediate regulatory response. Can you believe this? I mean, how long have the holders of XRP been saying that if we only had some regulatory clarity, we would be able to see the growth of the XRP as the digital asset be maximized in its use? And I just can't, I can't believe how fast it's starting to change. BitTimes is a media out of Japan, and they are, really doing a good job at covering this immediate regulatory response. So the announcement of Libra absolutely has prompted this immediate action on the regulation of virtual currencies. And the Bruno Le Maire, the chairperson in France, he said in the meeting that he is expressing the strongest concerns. And from Japan, Taro Aso, which is the Minister of finance said that it's very important to grasp the whole picture of the project. This is very Japanese. They are not reactionary like when you saw Maxine Waters, who doesn't really understand what she was talking about. She just jumped to a reactionary response, and that is not the way Japan does it. They want to step back and get a whole picture of the project, and they have created a task force to study this in regards to the money laundering, the consumer protection, and the privacy. So I will just continue and show you again how Japan is moving forward. We learned also yesterday that this is a brand new project. This just floored me. This is so surprising. One of the biggest surprises I've had this week. There's a project led by the the Financial Service Agency, the FSA here. It's like the SEC of the United States. And they are teaming up with the Ministry of Finance and working with the FATF to create a virtual currencies payment version modeled after SWIFT. Can you believe this? This international organization wants user information to be shared between exchanges in order to reduce or try to eliminate money laundering and financing of terrorism. So Japan is taking a very active role. Like this came out of nowhere. They are taking, Reuters is the news agency that broke this, and they're very credible. So I believe they have the facts straight. Japan is taking this active role globally to further regulate the space. Wow. I have to tell you, I'm speechless when it comes to this story. So it's going to legitimize. Wow, see, I told you my English just goes out the window. Everybody who lives out of their country for more than 20 years, this happens. I talk to expats all the time, and it's not my brain, everybody. It's your English gets very bad because there's many words that you don't use on a regular everyday basis, and then you end up just not being able to pull it out of the brain properly. So legitimize the crypto assets. It will do. These crypto assets ultimately will become mainstream should this kind of project really be executed. I'm just shocked. Okay. And then in continuing, this just broke like an hour ago, thanks to, is it Bank XRP or XRP Bank? It's Bank XRP. Wow, he is another fantastic source when it comes to spreading mostly video, but not always. Yeah, he's on it. I don't know how he does it, but he's on it. Ripple's Sagar Sarbhai is at the Bangkok FinTech Fair, and they are having some ASEAN payment connectivity discussions. And this is so good. You're going to find in listening to this, it's a little long, but you can just scroll over and just get the parts about Ripple, and you can find that he is talking very interesting stuff, like it's a watershed moment in history. This is the best time ever to be in payments, and there is, of course, it has many factors: the mobile phones, the QR codes, the central banks needing to change their infrastructure, and then we have digital assets, which are creating this new innovation. So it is a perfect storm. This is the words that Sagar Sarbhai used. They are working Ripple with incumbents and disruptors, but it has created the perfect timing to partner with them. So he sees lots of new players, and Ripple's interoperability is now being able to be realized as valuable because of all these different players. It is recognized that if there is a one connector like Ripple to actually bring the connection among everyone, not a closed loop system, the ILP has this incredible value. So betting on 5 years from now, and this ties into my question that I gave Hodor. 5 years from now, ILP will, the interledger protocol will connect everyone. So let me go back to the fourth question that I asked Hodor, and that is, how do you see the XRP ecosystem 3 years out? So mine was 3 years out, and Mr. Sarbhai had mentioned that betting on 5 years out, that everybody would be connected through the ILP. So here's Hodor. This question is one of the most important for many long-term digital asset investors. 3 years means 2022, and to be as accurate as possible, I will try to remember 3 years previous as a comparison. That's a interesting way to do it. So based off of the progress that the XRP ecosystem has made since 2016, I'd say leagues better than now. 3 years from now, my prediction is that there will be many banks using XRP along with international payment processors. Adoption happens in fits and starts. In fits and starts. That's a great saying. And I foresee regulatory clarity being applied soon in the banking sector with regards to digital assets. I do too. By then, many of the currently in progress legal challenges about XRP and Ripple will have been resolved one way or the other, along with further clarity from organizations such as the SEC. 3 years will also put us at the point in time where we can reasonably expect to see fruits born of Ripple's spring initiative. And by then, most of the work plans currently in progress will be complete, giving rise to many, if not all, of the necessary tools for supercharging the entire internet value that surrounds XRP. You can see why so many people like to read Hodor's work, because he is such a eloquent writer. So to me and many other long-term holders of digital assets, XRP's future is more clear, and almost anything else, more than anything else in the crypto market. Yeah, for sure, Hodor. Now, okay, so this kind of, I was a little nervous this wasn't going to go well, and I haven't done any retakes, so I'm really happy I can go back and forth, because that is not a regular style for me. Okay, now I'm going to move to the next story, which is Tim Draper. So he made a very strong statement that he believes that the proposed ban in India to crypto is pathetic and corrupt. And I want everyone to know that this is a proposed ban. So India has not banned. It's only a law that has been drafted. And we don't even know really how strong this drafted proposal is. It was revealed by an attorney, and it's just pointing to the possibility. In the draft, you can be sentenced 10 years to prison for holding, transacting, or mining a virtual currency, and it needs to be ratified. So do I personally think this is going to be ratified, especially with the developments that we've just seen in the past week with the G7? I don't think so. Now, of course, I can be wrong, but if I were to place any bets on it, I just can't see India taking that camp. I just can't see it. I would be so surprised. So I'm going to go back to the last question that I asked Hodor, and that was, I'm so sorry. Question 5, do you think the space will become more united or less united going forward, and why? So this is, there's just so many camps, and camps even are within countries, right? So we've got Japan moving forward, creating a payment system for virtual currencies. And then we've got India in the same region of Asia that's saying, no, we're going to ban everything. So, there's still a lot of division in this space. All right, so this is Hodor's answer. There will be a rise of new and less vocal groups in the XRP community, the RippleNet X Rapid client. This group is a small at present, but these businesses will grow along with the raw number of banks, remittance processors, and corporates using XRP due to the importance to XRP liquidity and demand levels. Their concerns, comments, and perspectives will grow in importance. Yeah, so he sees that group that's using the digital asset XRP, they are going to grow and their voice is going to get louder, and they are kind of in their own camp. The overall digital asset space will go through a consolidation in the remainder of 2019 and perhaps through 2020. I predict that the main camp will be in order of real unique members: XRP, Ethereum, and Bitcoin. Yeah, I think so. I think it's really already that way. In addition, I think your earlier communication, you made a significant point about XRP's perception transforming from a banker's coin. Yeah, this is from a previous conversation he and I had, because I really XRP is used for so much more than just the banks. So I hate that term when people say banker's coin, because you know, we're in the gaming industry, we're in the micropayments industry, we are looking at also initiatives with Spring that go way beyond banks, financial institutions, and disruptors. So yeah, okay, I'll keep on track here. These additions to XRP's use cases will serve to not only enhance liquidity, but to create multiple and distinct group of stakeholders. For example, we might have one group that follows XRP use in the Coil network of websites. Yeah, you know, people who are going to get behind Coil could be anybody in the world who's creating content. I mean, anybody in the world, not people who have any interest whatsoever of cryptocurrency. And I continue, there may be another group that is only interested in using XRP for smart contracts, and perhaps another user group that uses XRP for social purposes, tipping. Yeah, definitely. You know, the XRP tip bot that was created by Weezy Wind. I love it. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you. There will, of course, be crossover from group to the next, but I expect that as the ecosystem matures, these groups will become more distinct and separate. Very interesting statement. So my short answer would be more united from a macro digital asset perspective and less united from an XRP-centric perspective. And that concludes Hodor's voice. So, wow, his voice sounds a lot like mine, huh, in terms of tone. Anyway, I hope someday we see Hodor. I hope we get to hear his voice. But anyway, I think this is the next best thing. All right, everybody. Yeah, I think, you know what? It's time for fluff. And the fluff, I just want to make sure. Yeah, it's time for fluff. If you're new to this channel, I jumped to a subject about Japan after I get through the news. So that same family was seeking some advice from me on where to stay, I was asking a lot of questions back, because I don't want to make any recommendations that don't make sense for what they want to do when they get to Tokyo. And so I asked what was one of the main things they wanted to do and see when they come to Tokyo, and he answered me that he wanted to see traditional gardens. And that's okay. That's good. That can be done. This is just for the record. Tokyo is not the place to see traditional gardens for the most part. That would be Kyoto. Now, that doesn't mean you can't see them. It's just they are not in the same abundance as they are, or are they at the same level? That's debatable, right? That would be for someone else to make comment on. There are some really beautiful traditional gardens in Tokyo, but if you are a lover of traditional gardens, then you really have to go to Kyoto. So I'm going to introduce two of them, though, that are very, very good. Like, you know, A+. The first one is actually the manicured gardens of the Imperial Palace. This is the East Garden. This is a picture of it. It's not large, and it's more in kind of a natural state, not highly manicured, because those gardens have been left, in a lot of cases, to be untouched, to maintain their original beauty within the city. They're manicured a little bit, but it's not as manicured as you'll see some of them when you go to Kyoto. So you can see here the difference is you're going to see a little bit of bamboo, which is quite rare to see in a traditional garden. So that's kind of nice. And maybe the best part about that garden is the quality of koi. So it is part of the imperial household, and the koi, which are just spectacular. That would be, in my opinion, some of the highlights. These koi here, they are called nishiki-goi, which is setting them apart from the natural koi that are in the moat or rivers, because they don't have color. These are bred to have color. They run for tens of thousands of dollars each, and they are just really magnificent. So that would be something to do. Also, there is something unique in this particular garden. You can see the ancient stonework for the foundation of the original castle grounds. And yeah, I mean, when you can think you can get up close and personal with a stone wall that was created more than 400 years ago, it's pretty impressive. So that would also be something that I would say is unique to that garden. But if you are going to have me give the one and only, if you go only visit one garden in Tokyo, that would be the garden at the new Otani Hotel. And the reason why is many, actually. This is of course, an aerial shot in the probably dusk, where you can see some of the lighting that they have in this garden. This property was originally part of the samurai lord Kiyomasa Kato, and that was dating back to the 1500s. I think it later then moved over to the the Fushi Minomiya family. They were connected to the imperial household, so they were somehow related by birth, probably not by marriage, to the Emperor of Japan. So that was, so it's had a very noble history, and the garden itself dates back to that time frame, more than 400 years. After the war, it was sold to a gentleman by the name of Yonitaro Otani. He actually lived at this location, and he obviously loved gardens because he continued to maintain the garden, and I think he maybe even expanded it slightly, or maybe he made some changes, but anyway, it was good that it was under his care. And then he created the hotel, so he is the founder of the hotel. You can see the hotel in this picture here, and it is one of the fanciest hotels in Tokyo. It's got a wonderful reputation. I've had dinner there. I've had coffee in the they have like a coffee shop in there. I've been there. I've been in their bar one time, two times, and it's a fancy place and very nice. So for all these years now, after it's been carefully maintained, it's open to the public, and it has some very unique and rare attractions to it. Let me just show you. This is another aerial view. This is, I'm sure this one is taken during the day from a hotel room. And it has, let me just tell you some of the interesting points. It has a rare 22-ton stone called Akadama. It's a big red stone, and it was brought from the Sado Island, which is on the other side of the country off the coast of Niigata. And they think it's the only stone of its size of its kind. So it's pretty cool to look at. It also has a fossilized root of an ancient tree that you can see other fossils. And supposedly this ancient root that has been fossilized was there even in the 1500s when the samurai lord Kiyomasa had this property. So it's one of the original pieces, if you will, in the garden. And then it has 350 koi. Yeah, you don't have to follow me for long to know that I just love the koi in Japan. And that 350 koi, again, is the nishiki koi. It's the ones that are raised and bred for their spectacular color. There are also some herons and ducks and lots of water birds that come and visit. There's also a very cool scarlet colored Taikobashi Bridge. You can see it from up above, and let me just show you here. In this picture, you have another shot. It makes for really good photo ops if that's what you're looking to do. It has a lot of different trees. It has 2 different waterfalls, and it also has a tea house. So this is my #1 choice for traditional garden in Tokyo. All right, everybody, I hope you enjoyed, and do take care. Sayonara for now. Bye-bye.